Welcome to the Mother-Daughter-ish podcast.
Your mama's favorite podcast.
And the podcast your daughter always wanted.
Let's talk about it. I gotta admit, mother and daughter are always greater when they're together. Everything's better. Mother and daughter, oh, they're the greatest duo. Mother and daughter, oh, they're the greatest duo.
Hey y'all, I have to say I love listening to the Mother-Daughter-ish podcast. It's such a refreshing approach towards tackling real life topics and actually having those conversations with your mom. I have to say, I've learned quite a bit from my mother after we sat down and listened to the podcast together. Things from her childhood, ex-relationships, and overall navigating the world as a woman. I love this show and recommend all mothers and daughters to listen to it together. You never know what you'll find out and what you guys have in common.
So I just listened to the first episode of Mother-Daughter-ish, and I have to say I really like it. I can't wait to hear more. The first topic of birthdays really touched home because it was one year, I don't know what I was doing, but I just decided to ask my mom, what happened on my day of birth? And she told me I was a week overdue, and that specific day she wasn't feeling well, and it was just time for me to get out, basically. And we just kind of reminisce on that every year on my birthday. So it was really a heartwarming topic to hear other people talk about, and I just can't wait to hear more.
Do you experience issues or any sleep disorders? What about PMS? Any chronic joint pain relief needed? Or migraine relief needed? Well, don't panic, it's organic, baby! Certified Hip Hut is a natural path to good health. Stop by and let us cook you a great meal in-house or to go. Also, please keep in mind, when you visit Certified Hip Hut's location and make an in-house purchase, you will receive a variety of samples to try out. Everyone loves samples, I know I do. Come check us out at our location. We're at 3422 Farm to Market 2920, and that's in Spring, Texas 77388. Have you been looking for the right bags and accessories to go with your perfect summer or fall outfits like me? Visit the Burgatti Collections website. You won't be disappointed. I can tell you firsthand, my mom has a Blue Cross body from the website, and when I tell you that vegan leather feels great, that's right, you heard what I said, vegan. We carry not only vegan leather, but we also carry 100% genuine leather as well. All leather goods are to include vegan, are limited editions, meaning limited quality of styles and colors to produce, which are about less than 50, so it will be first come, first serve. The website is www.borgatticollection.com. That's B as in boy, ORGOTTI collection.com. There are about 75 products to choose from, so make sure you sign up for a chance to win a gift as well. I personally came across a few sunglasses and crossbodies I'm going to have to cop soon, so I hope you guys do the same. And notice that there's free shipping always. And we didn't forget about you fellas either. Make sure you check out the unisex aviators and bags as well.
So we got a really good, interesting conversation, and we're going to make it short and sweet, but we just really want you to have the conversation with your mom, or to have your mom have the conversation with you about lessons that you've learned from one another. I think in one of the other shows I mentioned that I wrote a book called How Many Frogs Do You Have to Kiss? Do I Have to Kiss? And that it wasn't about being upset about dating people, but it was more about what you learned and what you've taught during the dating process. So this conversation is going to be on the lines of the lessons that you've learned. And guess what? Not just from your mom or moms, not just from your daughters, but just from people and other women that you've met in the world. So a fun memory that I know I've learned from my mom is that my mom is she's very regal, very, very, very specific without saying anything. She's can just give you a look and you either know she's satisfied or dissatisfied. I mean, very simple. There's no in between. It's just clear cut. If she approves or she does not approve. And when I say that, I don't mean approval of you. I mean just is that her thing or not? Yeah. What would you say? What would you say is a memory that you could say stayed with you that was a lesson from me?
I would say it'd have to be on the friends topic. As far as when I was young, I didn't know what my mom really meant when she'd say everybody's not your friend. I really didn't know that really for real till probably like this May.
Yeah. Right. Right.
Like around that time.
May 2021.
Yeah.
Well, I tell you, it's really interesting because growing up, like I said, my mom didn't sit down and teach lessons like, now here's what you did. No, it wasn't that. It was watching what she did, listening to what she said, paying attention to her cues and her actions and things like that. And I never remember, outside of my aunts and people that were in our family, I never saw my mother bring women to our house. I never saw her bring, anything like that. Now, she had some church friends that she, has friends that she would go on trips with to like church conventions, or if they went, to Las Vegas or whatever things they did like that, or if it was her sister-in-law or something like that, they would do things. But just random women that she met out and about, never. And so I'm the same way. You never saw me bring friends.
No.
You never saw me with a friend. Even the person that you saw that I worked with, it was only because we were working together, but you never saw me like have a homegirl that I hung out with.
No.
Because I'm not that person.
Never.
So, like I said, my mom didn't sit me down and say, hey, don't do this. It was more of, you see what I'm doing? Follow suit. And so, as a kid, you can always take it how you want to take it. If you want to do that, if you don't want to do that. But, friends and associates also are two different things.
True.
Now, what do you know about that?
Friends can be demoted as an associate real quick with me.
Hello, they sure they sure can. They sure can be demoted. So I know that one thing I learned from somebody else's mom, and it was a crush that I had when I was 12 years old. And this boy, I had met this boy's mom because they lived on the back street where my cousin lived, and we had gone over there because we were friends with his sister. And his mom said, "Oh, your hair is so beautiful." She said, "Baby, don't never let nobody tell you to cut your hair and shave it off, because your hair is your glory." And I was like, wow, okay, that's interesting. And then I read something like that in some religious teaching or something, that your hair is your glory and it's considered power. I think I read that in the King James version about hair being power. And I never forgot that. So I said, even as I get older, I had decided even back then at 12, I said, no matter how old I get, I'm not going to be the lady that shaves my hair off, because when she said that, it left an impression on me. For whatever reason, it left an impression. What would you say was something that you've learned from somebody else's mother? Because it does take a village to raise people, and sometimes we may not get these lessons from within our family, but we get them from what I will call the village of other women.
I don't really know if I've had any lessons.
Or something they've said that you're like, you know what, Miss So-and-so was right.
I think it'd have to be on the lines of not being very, trusting in people. Seeing right through stuff.
So they've said like don't trust people, or they've said to pay attention to people, or like what do you
more
mean?
To pay attention to people's intentions and motives.
That's a good lesson,
like
though.
That, yeah,
that's a good lesson, because they probably were teaching their daughter that as well. So, what do you say has been your biggest challenge with mom-daughter dynamics? Because I am who I am, and you are who you are, and we're two different people.
Yeah, and I do what I want at the end of the day. Can't nobody make me do nothing I don't want to do. But biggest challenge with mom and daughter dynamics, I would say mothers and daughters not seeing each other's point of view on certain stuff, seeing eye to eye on certain topics. I know relationships could be one, a big challenge for some. Because I personally know a lot of mom and daughters that have different aspects on relationships. So when the daughter...
What is your biggest challenge with me as your mom, was the question.
I would say when I bring up certain stuff, you probably don't see things the way that I do. I mean, because you have your own standards.
What you talking about?
Not even that, but I mean, you have your own standards and stuff, and I'm more open to certain things.
Yeah. That's true. You know what? That is true. And the reason why I asked that question the way I ask it, honestly, is because what I want people to understand when they have these conversations with their daughter, and when moms have these when the daughters have these conversations with their mom, even to bring it up, you have to go into asking somebody a conversation knowing that they're going to only go off of their experience. They're going to only go off of what they believe. They're only going to go off of what, you got to think about the age dynamics too. Somebody, even, let's say you're 27, if you went and asked a 17-year-old the questions that we've been talking about, you're going to get some answers that you're just like, oh, I could tell you some things about that. You know, you're going to want to try to school them in your mind, you know. So that's why I asked that question, because one thing you got to know is when you go and start asking people that anything, you have to know that that's their perspective. Now, I can tell you that there have been things that I just, when I say I don't understand it, it's like my brain can't even fathom how that's supposed to work. And so until somebody schools me, because, you know, we have these conversations all the time, and I'll say, wait. Say what you said again so I can understand what you're saying, because I don't know what you're talking about. Like, I think in the last podcast we were talking about something about taking shots, and you mentioned white and brown. I was like, okay, wait a minute, hold up, I don't even know what you're talking about. I thought all liquor, I thought you could just throw everything in the glass and guzzle
and get food poisoning. I mean,
but
alcohol
I wouldn't
poisoning.
know though. I wouldn't know. I know nothing about that. So that's what I mean. If you just think of it on that level of when you say things to people, it's not that they reject what you're saying or that I would be like, no, but it's more like either I'm telling you because I've already been through it and I see how that's going to go, or I really don't know what you're saying.
Right.
And so that conversation is there. And also, I'll tell you this, I was talking to a lady that was a client of mine for many, many years, and she had a daughter, and she was saying that in their particular culture, certain things are off limits. Like her daughter did not want to have to be tied into only dating her culture. Not that she had, you know, some little something on the side that she wanted to explore, but she just didn't feel like her mommy and dad should choose her husband without her ever seeing him until the wedding day or whatever.
Right.
And so because she was a younger woman and wasn't raised up so hard in that tradition, but now she's Americanized, she just did not feel like that. And her mom were headbutting all the time simply because she's trying to say, I don't care what y'all say, I'm not going to marry who you want me to marry. And then the dad is saying, well, we're going to basically cut you off financially. You're basically going to have to go and live that hard life and without our opinion and our money and our anything. And that's that puts a strain. So when I look at it though, from my perspective, not only just as a mom, but when I look at it from an age standpoint, to me, they're basically saying, this is what our culture does. Keep our culture going the way it is. Yeah. That's how I hear it, is let's keep our culture going the way it is. And this is what you were born into. Accept what you were born into. That's how I hear it. But a youngster is not going to hear it that way. They're going to hear it like you're trying to imprison me.
Yeah, I had a school friend that literally lives like a street over. He or she had that same situation happen. I think literally right after we graduated high school.
Her parents wanted to hook her up with somebody.
Yeah, and he was like in his 50s, and
so
she
y'all
had
were like 17, 18, and he was 40 or 50.
Yeah, it wasn't. Wow. It was either right when we graduated or not too long after.
To marry?
But he was much older. Yeah.
So they were selling her to him.
I wouldn't say selling it, but it was like an arranged.
Arranged marriage. Okay.
Yeah, like in their tradition.
Yeah.
But that was my first time seeing it. Like I would say close to home, like somebody I had kind of knew like that.
What do you think about arranged marriages?
I'm not with it. I'd have to just be cut off, because I just can't understand the concept of somebody telling me who I should marry. And because I go by a checklist now. Like if you're not checking off everything that is on that checklist for me, it's a no. Yeah. I can't imagine. I literally cannot wrap my head around someone arranging something for me. Yeah. I mean, I want to pick my own husband. I mean, you can arrange my wedding plans. That's what you can arrange. My honeymoon. But not pick my man.
I think when I was your age, I said the same thing. But the age that I am now, I'm okay with arranged marriages only because I look at it now from a culture standpoint. And I look at it now from a family dynamic standpoint, because whether you know it or not, or whether they admit it or not, sometimes these individuals who have been arranged to be married have had children for the purpose of keeping the arrangement going. So you literally were born to be given to a particular family because that agreement was already made way before you were born. So that's why I'm okay with it, because first of all, that's not my culture. And so I don't have an opinion like that about somebody else's culture.
Oh, yeah,
the only thing I really can say is I respect it. Yeah. And I feel like so even further, if I was born into that culture, I will go with it. So you'd be the one rebelling.
Probably. Yeah. 9 times out of 10.
Yeah. I would go with it only because, and that's only because if I had the knowledge of why, then it would make sense. But I feel like maybe the lady I was telling you about, that was my client. I feel like maybe they didn't sit down and have a conversation, all along, because you could train kids the way you want them to be. And if you start planting those little seeds in their ear as they grow up, they understand this is what you were born for. Because again, these arrangements are made before the husband and wife even get together and conceive you. So, those lessons from that. And also, some lessons also include not just arranged situations, but partnership situations. So I don't know. I think it's an interesting topic to really talk about. So we've talked a lot about mom and dad dynamics, but is there anything that you'd say you learned from your dad too?
Always do right by people and staying solid. And I was actually just thinking about this the other day. But I mean, like when because I'll say that a lot during these podcasts, but staying solid can have so many factors within that. But when I say that, it's like, being truthful, truth to yourself, know who you are, know what you want, and don't let nobody, run over you.
Right.
For sure.
Right. Yeah, well, that makes a lot of sense. I tell you, I had the coolest dad that anybody could ever think of. He was nice and tall and real mild-mannered man. And I think the one thing as I got older, not as a kid, because as a kid he was just thought of as my dad. There was no conversation type thing going on. But after I got to be an adult and you were born and all of that stuff, it was more of a conversation, father-daughter type of thing. But man, I can tell you one thing he taught me is to always keep your game face on. And when I say game face, I don't mean that in a negative way. I mean, like, stand solid on, what's that song? 10 Toes Down or whatever? Yeah, stand solid in whatever you believe in is what it is, and be whoever you want to be type of thing. And he never said those things, but watching his actions, again, back to the action, that's something that I learned from him, just how he handled his friends, just how he handled family, just how everybody loved and respected him on his side of the family and things like that. But just, even he used to work at a liquor store at one time, way back in the day, and you just could tell everybody on that 3rd Ward corner in Houston, Texas, everybody respected him. Everybody knew who Slim was. Everybody knew, oh, you Billy daughter? Oh, no. We don't even try to talk to her. That's Billy baby right there. So, I remember just having the respect of that,
I remember us going to that, I always said it was a corner store.
It was a corner store.
We drop him off.
Yeah. So what you're referring to is when he had a heart attack and a stroke and had to come live with us, and I took care of him. But after he started to get a little better, I said, hey, how about you go hang out with your friends again? And he said, oh, that would be so cool. I didn't think to ask you because you're so busy with the kids. And I said, well, when would you want to go? He said, on Saturdays. I said, okay, every Saturday at 9 o'clock, I'll get you dressed and ready, and I'll take you over there. Hang out with your friends, pick you back up before dark. And that was the routine. So that's what you remember when we had the minivan.
Yeah, he was one of the funnest because, on my dad's side, my grandpa was cool as well. But he was a real cool grandpa. I remember eating
mild-manneredness, though. That's what I love.
Very
and I love
chill.
that even in a man now.
Yeah.
Somebody who's mild-mannered. I don't like hot-tempered, aggressive. I like a mild-mannered type of guy,
Yeah, I remember he was one of the first people I've ever seen put salt on their watermelon, and he would have me and my brother. He would have me and my brother ride on the back of his electrical wheelchair up and down the street.
Y'all would get the ride of your life from one end of the neighborhood to the next. I'd be like, "Where's Savon, your brother? Where's Savon?" I'll go look at the end of the street, walk way to the stop sign, and they all the way at the end on the electric chair. I said, what they think? They in a go-kart or something?
He let us do it. He never really said no to us. He was very cool.
No. But actually that's final thought on that. That's actually the reason why he ended up coming to live with us. One, because I said, as long as I have breath in me, neither of my parents will go to a nursing facility. Not that I have anything against them. It's just that as long as I have breath in me, that's my thought process on that. But when the doctor said, well, he can either go home with you or he can go to a nursing home, and I said, nah, the nursing home is not the option. He said, that's good because when older people are around young kids, it helps, them to be more vibrant. Yeah. Which was very, very true because he loved it, you kids. And like I said, he was there on your birthday when you were born. So he knows, all about, when you were born and all that stuff because he was right there and held you when you were born. So, any regrets with the way you handle any type of dynamics with me, or how you handled things with your dad or anything like that? Or mostly any regrets with me as your madre?
I would say, as far as our dynamic, I wish it would have been at this stage, earlier in my life. Because I think, like, right now we're in a space where we're, like, repairing our relationship and, like, understanding each other a little bit more. But I think, I wish it was, like this when I was younger, but I always say better late than never.
Yeah, and I always say that kids need to understand that when you're young and your parents are raising you, they don't want to be your friend.
Well, not necessarily that, but I think that also parents need to also realize that their kids need a little bit more emotional care than just putting a roof over our house, feeding us and stuff like that. But that's my opinion on that.
Yeah, that's definitely your opinion, because that's not how we think when we're raising kids. Most of us, it's like, as long as we are putting a roof. I see this meme every Christmas, and the kids are always saying, y'all don't never do anything for us for Christmas, and we don't get to take vacations like the other kids and all that. And so he puts a bow, the dad puts a bow on the lights, and he goes, Merry Christmas. He puts a bow on the air conditioning unit, Merry Christmas. He just go around the house showing you, I'm providing for you every day is Christmas for you. So it's really good for, I just think it's good for people to have their opinions, each individual to have their opinions about how they feel like they're being handled, because you see it that way and nobody else sees it that way. So it really just is the way it is, because I used to think the same thing about my mom, and we didn't become friends until I was about, and when I say friends, I mean like we could hang out and go to the mall after I was an adult, until I was probably about 20 something, 20. And that was when we were in the process of planning my wedding. Because again, I didn't leave home until I got married. I didn't live with, that was not allowed. So when I left her house to be married, it's because I lived with her all my life. And so after I got married, then we could have conversations just about anything, everybody, everything. And then, there comes that point where that breaks apart for a minute, and then you either put it back together or you don't. But that's just really a part of life. And what I wish is that there had been some kind of manual from our ancestors or something on family dynamics, raising kids, and I would like for that have to been culture by culture, only because there's just so many different dynamics in different cultures. And I think now with there being a lot of intermingling with relationships and things, some things are getting a little mixed up with the way certain things are handled. Because, for example, a lot of people don't whoop their kids, and then there are people who do. I'd say whichever way you do it is your business, right?
Mm-hmm.
A lot of parents allow their kids to talk back to them and cuss at them and do those things. There's some of us who are not going to put up with that. Either way you go, that's your business, right? So it's a dynamic that either happens the way you want it or it doesn't. There's always time to fix whatever you want to fix, or don't fix it. I mean, it's just the way it is. But from a kid's perspective, I think us moms, we really kind of just want you to know that we are the way we are because of the way we were raised. We believe what we believe because either that's what we were taught, or because we explored other things. We handle things the way we handle them because we feel like that's the best. Just like you said, you do what you want to do at the end of the day when you want to do it, right? We might not agree with that.
Yeah, but I think at some point, I mean, I think for me personally, working at daycares, you start to really understand that everything does start when you're a child. Like, if you realize that you didn't have the emotional care and support as a child, like, that definitely carries on with you when you're older, and you take that in on your relationships and stuff. So, I have a lot of friends that have conversations like that, and they say the same thing. But I know in daycares, you can tell, I could definitely tell and pick up the kids that don't get the emotional care that, that they wish or really, yearn for while they're at home, because they don't even want to leave the daycare. They be hanging on to me and crying when their mom pick them up, and their mom's like,
what would you categorize as emotional care? Other than, it's obvious what it means, but like, what is one of those things that you would say?
Not like baby and coddling, but I mean like emotionally, like if your child is coming to you crying, you don't like shut them down. You want to dive deep on like why they feel the way they feel and talk about it, rather than discarding their feelings or saying that they, look a certain way or like look weak crying. Like that will shut somebody off completely for a long time, and that can take on into their relationships and have them, realize that they're not opening up because of, whatever they went through as a kid. But
Have you ever treated someone like that before?
like what?
Like what you just described?
No, it's always been me not speaking up, or like, I've just noticed stuff that I've either felt as a young kid and it goes on into my relationship. So like, I know, even like looking at my baby pictures now, I'd be like, wow, if I could just go back as a 25-year-old and talk to my younger self and like be like, this is what I'm doing. Like, this is what I'm doing right now. I'm speaking up. I'm saying this. Like, you'd be, be proud.
Yeah.
But,
I always say I wish I could have had this brain that I have when I was 20-something years old. I would have really, really have loved to known the things I know and read the books that I've read and met the people that I've met and experienced the things that I experienced at 20 years old, really. That I knew now. Only problem with that, if I went back and I changed that history and I changed that dynamics, you would have never been born.
Right.
So we get what we get and we work with that and manage that. This conversation is funny. The birds and the bees. Do you ever hear, because you have friends with kids that are at least 5 or 6 years old, right? What's the oldest kid you have a friend that has? Like 10?
I think she's 8.
8 years? That's
Yeah.
almost 10. So do you have friends that you think are even going to have this conversation about the birds and the bees? I didn't ever feel like I needed to have the conversation because it was very clear cut on what I expected. So I
kids that were mature.
I didn't feel like it was necessary for me to sit down and say, so when a girl and a boy fall in love, they do this, that, and the other, and then boom, there's another. No. I think that's giving too much information. Do you remember in was it 5th grade or 6th grade or something, they had sent a paper home saying that they were going to be discussing something in sex education. Was that middle school or high school? And I declined it and said, no, my child does not need to have that conversation. She won't go learn, I'll teach her at home.
I faintly remember in elementary, but they definitely did it in middle school, too.
I think it was 5th grade.
Yeah, I think it was.
Yeah, it was 5th grade. And then when you got to high school, there was going to be some kind of sex education. And I said, I want to see the curriculum. And when I saw the curriculum, I was like, no, if I feel like she wants to know about this, then she can come to me. But I just also don't believe in tainting children and putting things in their head about anything that they don't need to really know about at that point. There's lessons in certain things, but I don't think you need to know where things go and how they fit and how this and all that. Like, kids should be so innocent that they wouldn't even be thinking about that. I know for myself, that wasn't even a thought for me until I was an adult. So I was like, this was for what adults do. Children don't do this. So why would we teach them that?
I think it was from like a preventative standpoint. Like, they probably was trying to get us knowledgeable about it. I mean, yeah, but I mean, it was also some fast 5th graders and 2nd graders back then.
Fast. Wow.
Back then, too.
Really?
So, oh, yeah.
Oh, gosh. I don't even
So they probably tried to, jump the gun and let us.
How do you think your friends are going to talk about the birds and the bees? Because y'all still young. Y'all are where we were when kids are in, like you said, you got a friend with 8. That's the oldest?
I think we're going to be more straight up, yeah.
Okay. So you got a friend with an
8-year-old.
An 8-year-old. That's the oldest, so no teenager kids. Okay. So
No.
do you think they're going to be having those conversations?
Yeah, I think so, but it's not going to be like the birds and the bees type talk. It's going to be more of a straight up,
A warning or a prevention?
I would say both, because I know my friend, she probably would tell her daughter, like, don't you try this, because I done been there, done this, and I done been that girl that done fell for this.
You say don't do something, they're curious and will do it.
I mean, yeah, but I mean, not necessarily don't say don't try this, but be like, hey, I've tried this,
Mm-hmm.
But I know my friends that do have kids, they're very close with their kids, so
okay, good.
Yeah, it'll be an easygoing talk.
I like that you said they're very close with their kids, because that makes me think about different eras. Like, I think about the era that my mom grew up in, and she knew what she knew only from what she was taught. And then I think of the era that I grew up in, being raised by my mom, who was raised in the era she was in.
Mm-hmm.
So you really have to look at the era of when people grew up too. And I think that you kids your age, I would say your age and younger, y'all on a different program.
Yeah,
y'all on a way different program than I even want to read about. I can only look and see how to handle that, but y'all on a whole different program. The things that y'all get to say, and I'm not saying you, I'm saying the things that people your age get to say to their parents, even at 27, that's just not tolerated. Like, I am almost 50 years old, and I would never say a cuss word in front of my mother. Not even the little cuss words that mean nothing.
Versus me, it used to come out like word vomit over here when I used to live here.
But not in front of me.
No, and if it was like a
No.
thing that kind of like slipped out.
Yeah, no,
But yeah.
I don't find it respectful, and so for me, puts me in the thought process of the movie Respect, and I just think that respect is like on a whole nother level. Like, I wouldn't cuss around my mother, but then I also would not use a cuss word around somebody else's mother.
Yeah.
Even if their mother cussed like a sailor, and I know a lot of ladies who moms used to cuss like sailors, but I would never use a cuss word, especially around an elder or anyone like that. And so I want that same and demand that same respect. So I just never did. But I don't know if you remember or not, but when you first went to school, regular school, because you were in private school before that in pre-K, and then when you went to first grade, we had that conversation about this is what's acceptable and not, and no one should be touching you here.
Yeah.
Do you even remember that?
Yeah, I do. And then,
Yeah.
wearing the
Did it
shorts
scare
under
you?
my dress. No.
Okay, and then like you just said, you had to wear shorts up under your dress if you wore one to school.
Yeah, because I still don't know how to sit in skirts.
Exactly. But you know what? That is acceptable, and that's understandable, because even your sister, the one reason why she stopped wearing skirts after elementary school is because she got tired of people talking about her butt size and stuff.
Yeah.
And so that made her like, you know what, I'll just cover myself up and you don't have to tell me about what my behind looks like. And so I would tell you from elementary, when I was completely in control of her dressing, to the point of asking her, do you like to wear this or do you not like to wear that, and just monitoring what you guys were wearing. But she hasn't worn a dress to school ever then after that. Now, only time she wears dresses now is if she's going out or something with her friends, but she don't like dresses simply because the attention, and that was me too, is that I don't like that kind of attention coming from people who are not mine, or we're not together. Like, I don't need you to tell me I'm beautiful. I don't need you to tell me, like, we're not together, so I don't need the compliment. I got somebody who sent me a DM yesterday with a whole bunch of broken words in it, talking basically about, I love those boots you have on. I want you to be for me. And I was just like, okay, all right. So
Literally
anyway.
like that? Worded like that?
Huh?
Worded like that?
No, it was absolutely worse. I mean, if I didn't have the knowledge on how to read, I would not have known what it said.
Oh, wow.
The point is that I didn't want the attention anyway. So,
Might have been too excited. They couldn't even type right.
but you know what, the thing about it is that I really wish, like, there was a conversation that was just being had through some women, and they were saying, well, if women didn't dress like this, then they wouldn't get treated like this. There is some truth to that. But I also feel like I should be able to dress to make me feel good without you not knowing how to handle yourself.
Right, and you should know how to approach women.
Exactly. If I
first of all.
want to wear a skirt up to my thighs, you shouldn't be so thirsty and so ill that I feel uncomfortable with what I have on. I should be able to go out and look cute and as sexy as I want to myself. This for me. Without feeling like you're not going to be able to handle yourself. That is an issue, and that's why I never cared that you girls didn't want to wear dresses anymore, because I understand you would get too much attention anyway because people can't handle themselves.
Yeah,
which is
true.
scary though, to know that somebody is drooling out the side of the mouth because they don't understand what good legs look like. Like, come
Right.
on. Like, especially if you try to touch me, oh my God, somebody's gonna die. If I don't like you, or even if I like you, if you approach me like that, all of a sudden don't like you anymore. So
Yeah, it's a big struggle having like big hips or a big butt, and you can't wear like
I know.
skinny jeans or skirts, or being top heavy and can't never just hide it in a shirt.
Yeah.
So I mean,
Yeah.
'cause I know me, I can't even look down and see my stomach. So
I mean,
That's
but
how top
people,
heavy I am.
But people get so thirsty though, they can't handle themselves. I don't get that. We should be able to be as sexy as we want to be for ourselves without worrying that we can't step out. But it just ain't the way it is. What about strangers?
what about strangers?
What lesson did I teach you about strangers?
I mean, other than the
Other than
obvious, don't
stranger
talk to
danger.
them. Yeah.
That's true. Do you remember that time when you were at the school bus stop and we saw a white van kept passing by, and I called 911 and said, the kids are out here, because I used to walk out to the bus stop. I said, the kids are out here on the first day of school and there's a white van that's passing by, and they've passed by like 4 times. They have a number on the van, but when I dialed the number, I was serious. I was on the phone with 911. I said, and when I dialed the number is a fake number. And I said, these kids I said, all the way down my street, there's nothing but kids, and there's more girls out here than there are boys. And the lady told me, ma'am, can you calm down? They're getting ready to do a house sting. in the back there's some people selling drugs. I was like, okay, ma'am, have a good day. I'm sorry. It was.
But you can never be too careful though.
You can never be too careful because first the van kept coming back and forth, but I realized it was making the circle around the corner, and they were going to that corner house around in that corner. That street curved around to where there were 1, 2, 3, 4 groups of kids at the bus stop on one side and like 3 on the other side. Elementary on one side, or middle school, and then high school came shortly after that. And
some people don't even take the time to even call like you did.
I know.
They would just take their kids and run in the house.
Because I was at the bus stop when the elementary, when Peyton and Savon would go to school, and then when the middle school, one of y'all was in middle school, and then you had gone on to high school before Josh.
Yeah.
So I was at the bus stop 3 times that morning, and I just kept seeing that van. But when I dialed the number, and it said that it wasn't a good number, I was like, okay, this is what they teach you about. Don't park next to a white van. Don't do this. If you see one circling, there's a problem. And so when I called the 911 lady, she said, give me the license plate. I gave her the license plate. She said, ma'am, don't bother those people. She said, you okay? Y'all are safe. The kids are safe. They're doing a sting at such and such. There's somebody selling drugs. And I said, okay, ma'am, have a good. I was so embarrassed because I thought, well, at least I did my part, though, right?
I would have rather do all that and feel a peace of mind having, kids, period, rather than taking your own kids and just running in the house and just be fearful every day you take your kids to the,
Yeah, because there was only maybe 2 or 3 of us that monitored the kids at the end of the street anyway, and everybody else just kind of sent their kids out to the wolves. Mm-hmm. And I call the world the wolves. Yeah. But in your opinion, how would you describe me? Like when somebody says, well, tell me about your mom.
People used to always ask me, what does your mom do? I'd be like, you know what? I'm going to tell you what she told me to tell y'all. She is an entrepreneur. And then when they ask more questions,
oh my goodness,
then I give them a brief little bulletin board.
And they're confused.
Yeah. They'll be like, oh, she's, like my friend calls her a mogul. And I'm like, that is exactly what I would call it. But yeah,
Your youngest brother, teacher, asked him. So first of all, you ain't got no business asking my child what I do. But anyway, I digress. She asked Savon, "What do I do?" And he said, "I don't know. She talks to people on the phone all day."
Because you don't pay attention to nothing.
And so I go up to the school for lunch or whatever, and they were having some kind of tell us about your mom and dad type crap. I don't know. I just don't think that's an appropriate question.
What made her ask?
I don't know, but it reminded me of that movie with Jim Carrey, and they asked the little kid, "What does your dad do?" And he said he's a liar.
Oh,
but
liar,
he was trying
liar.
to say lawyer is liar movie. I don't know. They were doing like a, I think that some of these people, they just want to get into your life and know about you. I guess maybe it was one of those, how does your mom get to come to your lunch every day? Like, don't she, it's kind of like, don't she have a job? But I was like, first of all, you have no business asking anything about me. I'm not in your class. You're not my teacher.
Yeah.
So you shouldn't even be concerned about what I have going on in life that I want to come to my kids' lunch for life. Okay?
Yeah.
So he said, I don't know. She talk on the phone to people all day. Why? Because, he was like, why you asking about my mama? So anyway, I go up there, and then at the lunchroom, she passed by as I was coming in. She was passing by because, teachers go do their thing. And she said, oh, Savon told me you talk on the phone all day to people. And I said, excuse me? I gave her this look that she was like, and walked away because I was thinking to myself, lady,
but I be seeing right through that.
You do not want this smoke.
When people be trying to pry into your life, and I love when they get so mad
and
when you're so vague.
We always had a nice car, and it was 4 of y'all had gone through the same elementary, and she know the same thing I did with you and your older brother. I was always at the lunch thing. I did the same thing with your younger brother and sister. Always at the lunch thing. I knew, Miss Jackie, in the kitchen.
Yeah.
She knew me. She knew y'all. She made sure she watched out for y'all and everything. It's just like, lady, I'm up here to build relationships and to spend time eating with my kids. Like, I'm not here for you to try to discover what I do in life. Like, we're not friends.
I love shutting nosy people down with vague answers to their question because, you can tell and see right through.
Right.
At least I can now. You can see and, see right through it that people be trying to get information on you. And then when you're very vague, they just, Well, hopefully they get the message.
Yeah, I know. One thing I can tell you I've learned is that sometimes people try to, like you just said, get information on you so they can use it against you later.
Right.
Or so they can throw it in your face. Or so that they can talk and discuss it with other people. Because I know sometimes I've heard people ask somebody a question about their parent, and then they'll say, oh, well, she's this or she's that, or they'll talk negative about their parent. And then when you repair your relationship with your parent, or y'all get closer or whatever, then they're gonna say, well, now you said that she stank, you said whatever, you said she only comb her hair in 5 weeks, and so you over there now, y'all want to be friends and everything. So it's kind of like, I trusted you to tell you how I felt about it, but now you want to throw it in my face that I'm doing better.
Yeah, and there's a lot of people out here. It's a lot of people out here that try to find something in you that they are doing better at, or, like they try to always find something wrong with you pretty much and talk about it, or just be prying, really.
Yeah, I don't allow people to do that. So when people ask me questions about, tell me about your daughters, or, because Peyton used to go with me to the Minnie Cooper Club events, and they said, oh, you only have one child? And I said, no. And Peyton said, oh, I have another sister too. And they said, well, tell us about her. And I'm just like, I haven't even told you about this one who shows up. So why would I tell you about the other one that you're never going to probably see? So it's like, I don't really like to discuss that. I'm kind of like a private person when it comes to people that don't know you, that are trying to be nosy. Now, if we're if we're associates or whatever, and I feel like your concern is genuine, then that's fine. I had a business partner one time that we worked together for about 5 years before she even knew I had one child. And I had 4. I didn't even know she had one child. We didn't talk about those type of things. It was just strictly about work. I didn't know who she was dating. I didn't know anything about her. She didn't know anything about me, but that we had that one thing in common, which was, earning our money. So,
and I do notice that, like, some people ask, like, how you're doing it, like, oh, how's your mom doing? And I'm like, nah, you're not asking genuinely. You're just wanting to know what information I'm gonna give you so you can use that to the best of your abilities. But I'm like, you've never asked about her the whole year and a half or whatever I've been back out here. So that's when I would shut it down. And,
basically, because I don't know why this is, but I've seen people take pleasure in a daughter saying something negative about their mom, or a mom saying something negative about their child. Like, who does that? Like, even if you have something negative to say, you would never in your life tell somebody who's not in that same family. Like, I don't know. It just, for me, I don't play that game. What do you think you learned from me about spirituality or religion, whichever way you want to go with it?
I think it's more spirituality and affirmations and stuff that I hear you say. Even the ones that pop up on your iPad. I'll be in your office typing stuff, and it'll be just randomly sticking stickers everywhere. But yeah, it's more of like the affirmations and stuff, and being very thankful, and definitely staying prayed up for sure.
Yeah, you got to do that. I just had a client hit me the other day sent me a text message, and she was just praising that her mom was able to get a particular type of surgery for her cancer instead of having to do the chemo and the radiation and all this, because her mom's nearly 80. She was happy, and I said, when we were talking last week, that's why I told you to stay prayed up. She said, oh, you are so right. That's why I wanted to share this with you, because I know you're going to keep me motivated and all that. And I'm like, look, we already know who takes care of us. We just have to remember that in times like this.
Right.
And she was so thankful. I mean, this was my client for over a year, doing some business coaching with and stuff. And every now and then she'll share something really great with me that, she's like, I remember, if I can't tell nobody that's going to make me happy at this moment, it's going to be done. She's going to say something positive. Also, a person that I worked really well with, she was a manager over my podcast I had back in 2015 and my TV show I had. She called me and said her 6-year-old grandson got and she was pretty upset about it. I just had to have a conversation and just say, look, what you mad about? Give him the attention he needs. He's way in Georgia, she's way in LA, right?
Oh.
And I'm just like, get on that FaceTime with him like you've been doing. Pray for your grandson, do all these things. I said, because you got to realize we're in a life that we have no control over what's going to happen, but we have control over how we react to it, right? Because she was really upset, and she said, I know, I needed to hear that from you, because this is really bothering me. And I'm just like, look, your baby is going to be fine. Did you not say prayers for your baby?
And you can't get upset over what you can't control. You just got to learn how to
do you not pray for your babies? I said, I know with all the shenanigans I done gone through, somebody had to have prayed for me, just like I pray for myself, if not better, So, I don't know. Growing up, what were you never allowed to do that you remember? I know for me, growing up, I was never allowed to just be wild. Not that I wanted to, because I didn't know how. I wasn't around anybody who could show me how to do that. I wasn't allowed to just be talking to boys. Like, you're not finna just be talking to boys. You gonna talk to one boy. That's probably the one you're gonna marry. That's it. Because my mom was not putting up with that. And I wasn't allowed to use profanity or even act like I had an attitude. Like, you didn't even act like you had an attitude and you could not talk back. And it wasn't that you were in fear that if you did, you would die. It was more of, you're going to respect me no matter what. Now, one rule my mom said, and I know I've said it to y'all, when you're ready to make your own rules and you feel like you want to run something, that's when you get your own house. So that's something that I was never allowed to do, was to just do any of that. Talk back, be sassy, whatever. What's something that you could say you feel like you were never allowed to do?
I think the main thing is just go over anybody's houses. You always had to. Yeah. I haven't also met a lot of friends where their mom goes through the screening phases of talking to the friends' parents and figure out what family members are in the house. You sound like your sister. In my cell phone, and I just maybe a week ago deleted your friends' numbers and your ex number out of my phone. Good. Because I was like, why do I have this? But right. I would always have Angie's friend so-and-so, Angie's mama's friend so-and-so, Angie's friend. I had that in there because, let me tell you why. And if my mother is listening to this podcast, she might want to turn it off. The reason why I was like that with y'all is because, again, I was with the shenanigans. So, not up front, but sneaky on the side. So, I can remember, and this may have been the only time I ever did it, but hey, I can say I did it. I remember one time my good friend in high school, Chantel, Miss Chantel, you know her. Yeah. Her mom used to babysit y'all for me. I remember one time my mom was the same type, but after she got to know her mom, she was like okay with us, hanging out with each other, because we like to do each other hair and all that stuff, because we were in cosmetology together, so we did all that kind of fun stuff, girl stuff. And so one night we came up with this idea that we wanted to go see Captain Jack. You either know or you don't know. If you're from Houston, you either know who Captain Jack is or you don't. But he was all of that, 3 bags of chips, and all the buttered bread that you need to have, okay? And he was hosting something at the club with the male strippers. And we know we wasn't supposed to go, right? So I had her to tell her mom she was coming to my house, and she was like, okay, cool, yeah, don't your mama cool, ain't nothing going on over there, our brothers ain't never there, they cool, ain't nothing gonna happen to you, I'm comfortable with her. I told my mom that I was going to Miss Chantel's house. Now, we did end up at somebody's house. I can't remember if it was her house or my house, but in the midst of us getting picked up, we slid by the strip club. Now, back in the day, if you was cute, you was getting in the club, okay? Yeah. You didn't even have to be dressed with a tablecloth on, but you had to be cute. And so we was cute, okay? And we got into the strip club, and we got to see Captain Jack. He was like a radio DJ announcer type guy. He was at all the clubs, and all the women liked him. He was a good-looking older man. He was old enough to be our daddy, but we thought he was fine. Was he a DJ or a dancer?
He was more like a... what do you call these guys Bolo? Now? You call these guys like the ones who, like, if you were a singer and I would be like your promoter. But he was like a promoter, but he like pumped up the crowd type of thing.
Oh, like a hype man?
Kind of like a hype man, but on a high level of, you want to see Captain Jack type of guy. He's going to pump it up. And so he was there that night to hype up the crowd. Then we got to see all the strippers. And back then it was like your Horseman and Rico Suave, and I mean all the fine guys back in the day. I'm 155 years old talking about this, but if you know, you know.
You should see my face. I can't imagine seeing men at a strip club.
I know. And so again, there we go with that age dynamic. Like the younger kids, I'm gonna call y'all kids, but the younger kids now, y'all women want to go see women strippers. I could never. I could never go see a strip club. But with the men, I literally, from the age of 16, 17, 18, from the age of 16 of experience and just seeing that, and I never was the type to want to touch, and I just want to see, because that was something I wasn't supposed to be seeing, so I wanted to see. So we went for just a few little hours. We was cute, so we got in for free, and we saw everything we wanted to see, and that has been a memory for us. Now 30 years, 30 plus years, we still laugh about that, and neither of us ever told anybody, and now I just told that story. I'm probably gonna get a whooping the next time I see my mama, but anyway, that experience taught me, don't trust no kids. Yeah, they gonna lie, because you lied and you was a good girl. Don't trust no kids. They gonna trick you. They gonna swindle you. So
Especially the firstborn.
Super especially. But that's why when you would say, can I go to so-and-so house? And I would say, what's her mama number, right? And then what would I do?
Call on them.
I would call their mama and I would say, did you know that Angie said she was going to come over? I didn't call you Angie then. I call you your name, Angelique. That she was going to come over and spend the night in. What y'all going to do? Now, who live in your house? Is there a man that lives there or brothers or whatever? Like, what's their age? I needed to know because I didn't want to later on be saying, well, I didn't know she had a 15-year-old brother there that you had a crush on, that you was just over there to look at his little skinny body. And I didn't want to go there. But then also, the reason I didn't like for y'all to go anywhere, because you may not remember this, but do you remember the night I let y'all go to a party over in the next neighborhood and then that girl came up missing and was on the first 48? Yeah, remember y'all went to that house party and then one of the girls that was at the party left with somebody and then ended up in the bayou over there.
What grade were we in?
I think you and Josh, y'all were in middle school, but it's that house right there on the corner in North Glen.
I don't remember.
Right on. But anyway, then you had told me that you had seen that girl on the first 48, and I was like, see, that's why they don't go nowhere, because that's not what we're not finna do. We're not finna do that. So I just never trusted, because I know everybody raised their kids different, and a lot of the ways people raise their children I didn't agree with. So I figured, why would I let y'all go and be tainted by that? If I could have really been the entrepreneur I wanted to be, and then the mom I really wanted to be, y'all would have been homeschooled.
Yeah.
Simply because I didn't want you socializing with other people's kids that didn't raise their kids the way I was raising mine. So y'all would have been, one, homeschooled. Two, you probably wouldn't have been able to have friends.
I would have been fine, honestly, with that.
Yeah, you wouldn't have been able to have
homeschooled.
friends. And so then I would have gotten my way. Meaning I would have been able to train and teach you what I wanted instead of sending you out to the wolves, as I call out there in the streets. You know, to the schools and learning that particular whatever they were teaching, but then also learning all the little things. Because whether you know it or not, when you have friends, you do catch on to things that they're talking about, things that they're saying. You know, that's how some kids start smoking. That's how some kids start using profanity. I'll never forget, you were a baby, and I had you in the basket at the grocery store, and this little kid kept asking his mom for something, and she kept saying no, and he was sitting in the basket. You know how they have him in the handle thing? Yeah. And he kicked his mom in the stomach so hard she fell to the floor. I reached back for my belt because I was ready.
That'll be the
But
day.
then I thought to myself, that's obviously not how she's raising her son, because he just kicked her in the stomach and she fell to the floor.
Now imagine
And
what they're
I
going to do
gave
at school.
Right. And I gave the lady eye contact because I was like, you need me to handle this for you? But I just looked at her like, oh, okay. And she was like, you kicked me too hard. I got off that aisle and went to a whole nother aisle because I didn't understand. I did not understand. And to know that was happening in my community, no. So what was the one thing that you said you were never allowed to do?
Just go over any friend's house
Yeah,
without a
just go to
screening
any friend's
process.
house without a screening process. Do you think that was wrong?
No.
Were you mad about it at the time?
Because I didn't understand, yeah. But, I mean...
Would you do the same with your kids?
I would.
Okay. So... All right, so
because I know how curious I was as a
yeah,
young kid, and I can only imagine. They say your kids come out worse than you. Sometimes.
You think your friends are gonna do that with their kids now that they're 8 years old? You know, at 8 years old, they want to go to what they call little nail polish parties. You know, your little sister had parties here all the time because the parents trusted them to come
I think
here.
my friends would be like that. They'd rather have the kids come over to their house and
would
have
they
the parents.
still though?
I would say yeah, but they'd be the mom where everybody comes to their house rather than sending their kids just to anybody. Right. Plus, I think their kids are really not built like that to just go over anybody's house.
Okay, and that's good. I mean, that's a good thing because I'm gonna tell you something. The scary thing about folks going to folks' houses is that they say things they have no business. Your sister had a party, and I think it was a back to school high school musical party, or was that you? No,
it was her.
Peyton.
Okay, Camp Rock high school musical.
Every summer we would have a back to school party, and about 20-30 girls come here. Anyway, this theme here was something about beauty, and so they did the fingernail polish and the press on nails and all that. And one of her little friends, a song came on. Of course, I didn't know the rapper, and she said, "Oh, that's my song. Zero be coming to my house to see my mama all the time." I took that little girl by the hand and I pulled her over to the kitchen area and I said, "Don't do that. Don't tell what be going on in your mama house." I
but
said,
they don't be knowing that.
Yeah. I said, don't ever do that. I said, if your mother never taught you, one thing my mama taught me, you don't talk about what go on inside this house. If they don't live here, they don't get this information. She said, okay, yes, ma'am. I said, don't ever mention that man's name again. And don't ever connect that man with your mom again. Don't ever say that.
I mean, but
Especially
it's
not
also
in
the
public.
parents. It's also the parent too. She probably was too willingly having him around the daughter, letting the daughter
She
see all
said he
that.
was coming to their house. I said, don't do that.
She
I
wasn't.
said,
She
for all
wasn't
you
private
know,
enough.
I said, for all you know, that could have been my man too. Now
Yeah.
you starting something. I told that little girl, I said, don't
The
you
kids
ever.
don't know no better. That's what happens when their parents just be bringing anybody around like that with
This
their
is
kid.
true. Are you glad that I never did that? Or you wouldn't have cared?
I'm probably glad because I can only do too much faking, liking people because I could like till today.
Yeah. That's another reason why I didn't do the dating like that or have men coming in and out is because, one, it's dangerous. I'll tell you something. Here's something I learned from somebody's grandma. When I was in my 20s, one of our associates, her grandma, we went over there to pick her up because she was going to come babysit for us while we went out. And her grandma said, baby, y'all be careful out there with these men. She said, because sometimes you think they be looking at you, but they really looking at your kids. That scared me to death.
Oh yeah.
That told me everything I needed to know about the way I move and who I associate with and who I allowed my kids to be around. Because when she said that, it freaked me out. She said, baby, you think the men want you? They want your kids. I never knew what she meant about that until now all of this Me Too stuff came out.
Or
I
until that
never
Precious
knew what
movie.
that meant. I mean, I got it. I got the point, right? But I didn't know how do I say it? I didn't know the actual action behind what could happen.
Yeah, or until that movie Precious came out. It
I
was
never
a
saw
similar
that
situation.
movie. I never saw the movie. I know who played in it, Monique and Gabrielle Sidibe or Gabrielle Sidibe. I never saw the movie, only because I felt like that was too negative for my spirit to see. You know, like I told you, I don't like scary movies because I feel like that is a negative spirit. And I don't like drama movies like that one. And the only reason I know about some of the parts is because they had parts that they always clip and all the, all the ugly parts. They always put those up. But I never saw that movie. You saw it?
Just one time.
Okay, and you liked it?
I mean, I don't really watch too many movies that are drama.
Mm-hmm.
Like, literally, the genre is drama.
Okay.
But it's just one of those movies I like to see. Like, it's also one of the movies like Fruitvale Station with,
Never saw that one.
you can only watch that one time. It's literally too sad.
Too emotional.
Very.
I
And
never
don't
saw it,
watch
but I
stuff.
remember when it was coming out because they did a big promotion on that. Wow. How do you feel about the education you received? Because I'm going to be honest with you, without saying the school district I grew up in, I thought I got the worst education ever because in that time when I was in middle school and high school, the teacher's attitude was, you can get yours or not. I already got mine. Every teacher I ever knew that wanted to be slick-mouthed they didn't have those conversations with me because I didn't allow that conversation to happen between me as a kid and them as an adult. I just did what I was told and did my work and made sure you didn't do anything appropriate to me or say anything. But that was the attitude that the teachers had is, you can get it or not. I already got mine. So what they were saying is, I got my degree and I'm doing what I'm doing. If you want to stay dumb, you stay dumb. How do you feel like your education was?
I would have to agree because I don't think it's really anything that I've learned in school that I use to this day. I know my teacher in second grade, Miss Eller, that was English teacher, I believe.
Mm-hmm.
I think she taught me more life lessons that I wasn't going to come across until I was older, rather than actual school stuff. But I think she's the only teacher that took the time to get to know me and
cared.
Yeah.
What grade was that?
Second.
And see, mine was 5th grade, which was Miss Carr. And she told me, she said, if you would just stop talking so much and actually focus on your work, she said, you would really understand what's happening. From that point on, I won a lot of spelling bees. I got really good in English literature and, just English period, spelling words and articulating myself and having better conversations as far as like questioning things and stuff. But she said, you just talk so much that because she used to always write progress reports home to my mom all the time saying, Dawn's trying to run the class. She talks too much. She's making friends too much. She's doing this. And I never forget that. And when I went back years later to thank her for sharing that and helping me with that, she had passed on, so I didn't get to tell her thank you. But yeah, Miss Carr at Kennedy Elementary on Cross Timbers in Houston, Texas. I remember that. But so you don't feel like your education was that good, or it just didn't
I don't think it
propel
was that good. Yeah, both. I don't think.
You don't think so?
No.
Wow. Wow. Okay, so we're going to play a little game here, and it's called What Did You Learn About? Now, these are quick, rapid questions, so it's not something you want to really think about, but you just want to go with the first thing that comes to your mind. You're going to go first after I ask the question, and then I'm going to answer it. So what did you learn about work? Now, this is like what you've learned from me that you've taken on. So what did you learn about work?
That a regular 9 to 5 is not for me, and that you can literally put 150% in and still be easily replaced or be worried about job security. That's been too relatable to me.
Right.
And as far as working for yourself and, I mean, going after what you want to do and not, having a boss if you don't want to.
Yeah. So what I learned about work from my mom is that you do what you got to do so you can do what you want to do. And that means by any means necessary, just get the job done. Do a job that you respect and that you love, because my mom also was what I would call an entrepreneur when it's all said and done. She worked at a daycare for a long time, and then she opened up her own cleaning service, and I used to love going to work with her to just do those things because I knew that was more flexible. So what did you learn about respect?
You definitely have to give it to earn it.
Absolutely. Something I learned about respect from my mom is that if you want people to respect you, you're going to have to give the respect, but then also you got to make sure that you teach them how to treat you.
Yeah.
Yeah. What about dating? What do you think you learned from me about dating? To sum it up.
It's a hard thing to do, to sum it up.
Yeah.
As far as dating, the things that's sticking to me now is just believe who they show you the first time. Literally the first time, not the second, third, fourth, fifth,
10th.
Yeah.
What I think I learned from my mom without her saying a word about dating is just to respect yourself and be respectful of yourself. And no matter what people want from you, you decide what you want to give. So be respectful and don't just be with everybody and everything. So that's something. What about love? What do you think you learned about love?
I'm not sure. It's a tough subject about love because we never really just talked about that.
Okay, what about music? I can say what I learned about love is that love who loves you. And if people don't want to love you, you don't force them. What about music? Now, for me, I love the music that I love because I got that old school and that 90s and early 2000s vibe in me, but I still every day wake up and put on some Teddy Pendergrass or something like that. I love old school. What about you? I listen to Bobby Womack and all of that kind of stuff. Do you know any of those?
Yeah, but that's not something in my playlist.
Exactly.
As far
That's
as Bobby
all that's
Womack.
in my playlist.
But as far as the music, it's just like movies. Like I listen to music based on my mood. I watch stuff based on my mood. So like if I binge watch something that's really good, and I'll be tuned into that. But if I have too many things going on in my mind, I could binge watch 4 shows at once.
Wow.
But music, I would say in the mornings when I'm either out and about or cleaning up or something, I'll listen to something slow. But if I'm like in a hyper mood or wanting to find something to do, I'll listen to, upbeat music, especially like while doing my makeup or something. But it definitely depends on my mood, on what I'm listening to. And I have a wide range of genres I like to listen to. So
Top 3 in your playlist right now?
Top 3 genres?
Just top 3 songs, whatever.
I don't have really a top 3 because every day I listen to something different. But genres,
because like on iTunes or something like that, it'll say most recently played, and then it'll tell you what's the most recent ones you've been overplaying. Do you have something that you play all the time that those are your go-to? I guess they call it like a go-to.
I got Gunna, OMB Bloodbath, and Isaiah Rashad.
And okay, I know none of them, so when we talk about our music likes on that podcast, I'll get to know who those people are. But right now, I don't even know how to Google them because I didn't understand any of those names. Gunna, I heard that. Okay, what do you think you? I'm gonna find out who that is. What do you think you learned about me as far as words and language?
Language, I mean, we definitely have 2 different types of language. I know I say stuff and you don't know what it means. Not even just what I just said.
Right.
But it'd be a lot of stuff, like even you saying child. I'm like, who have you been watching?
No, what was the word yesterday? You said you You never heard anybody else in the world say darn?
Oh yeah, like darn it. I think that's such a country thing to say.
Well, because I don't use a cuss word.
Yeah,
so
no.
then it's either dang it or darn it, and those are the only two words that I know because I never say the other words. So,
But
I don't know.
I could just imagine it in a text. Like that just sounds funny.
Wow.
But yeah.
Well, you learned from me about naps. Now I know my mother was everybody couldn't take a nap, and you just took a nap, and that was what it is. And she felt like everybody should have a nap. I'm like that today. I gotta have a nap every day.
Yeah, I definitely need one right now. But you was always known for having a good 15-minute nap every day.
Yep, and I made y'all take naps when y'all were young too. I mean, we would literally, as a household, we would shut it down. Especially on the weekend, we do things, come back. Everybody need to shut it down because I just feel like you need to shut your nervous system down, consistently so that you can refresh. So, what did you learn about traveling from me?
I think it was really fun, and it's definitely, I think if you showed me that it's doable while working and doing your own thing, and it was definitely doable for me because I mean clearly I graduated high school, still don't know how I got through that because I was barely at school from traveling, but there's a lot of places we went to while I was in high school mainly.
And
Yeah.
then you got that great experience with people to people.
Yeah, by a
was a
teacher
rich
that didn't want to
21
pass me, but she recommended me to go on the trip.
Exactly, because she knew you needed that world view, and you loved it over there.
I also needed 2 more points to pass, but that's
You
neither
didn't
here
even
nor
wanna
there.
go. You didn't even want to go, though. You were like, I ain't never been away from home without family, so this is going to be weird with all these strangers. But then you hooked up with the one girl that y'all had something in common. Neither one of you had ever left your parents' house. So
Shout out
that
to
was
Amani. Hey, girl.
something that I would say I learned from my mom about traveling is that I really do like road trips, because whenever we would drive from Texas to Louisiana, it was always in a car. We never flew. We never went on the big bus, or whatever kind of bus was a Greyhound is what it would be back then. So I do love road trips, especially if there's entertainment, whether it be nowadays, it would be a podcast or good music or a playlist or something like that. So that's what I learned about traveling. What did you learn about friends from me?
Like I keep saying, everybody ain't your friend.
Right. One thing I learned about friends from my mom is that you can't bring everybody in your house, and that's something she never
Or in
did.
your business, your life, your space, your energy, all that.
Mm-hmm. Last one. What did you learn about independence from me?
Can't nobody take that away from you.
That's very true. And one thing I can tell you about you is even when you were a baby, you were very independent minded. If somebody said don't do something, you were going to do it just to see if that was what you're supposed to do.
Yeah, still like that.
If somebody, and that's why I did my best not to say don't do this, don't do that, don't say. It was more like, okay, if you keep doing that, this is going to happen. Like giving you more of what the consequences would be. But I think when it comes to independence, the one thing I learned from my mom is that be whoever you want to be, and if it works out, fine. If not, you can change it. I mean, I was kind of like you as far as the independence when you were little. It's just that I took mine way too far. And when I say I took it too far, is that I just decided I wanted to be independent in every area of my life. Not just independent from people, but just in every area. So overall, what was the one upbringing that you could say molded you in one word? What was your upbringing?
I think it was
the
strict upbringing.
You think I was strict?
Oh yeah.
Really? Okay. Are you saying you think I was strict, period, because that's a fact, or because compared to other kids, moms?
I would say both.
Okay. I said the same thing about my mom. I thought she was the most strict, the most mean person that I ever thought that walked the face of the earth. But after I got older, I understood why. And I was okay with that then.
I think I was okay not being in the military because I already felt like I was in one.
Exactly.
So
Exactly. And on purpose. Yep. That's right.
You know.
Okay, so you said your overall thing was what? Strict upbringing?
Yeah.
Same for me. I had a very strict upbringing as well, and I understood
Talk
clearly.
about cycles.
Yeah. And I'm okay with it though. If I had to do it all over again, I would be even more strict this time, because I would homeschool. I would cut down on the social stuff. You may have done a sleepover once or twice. This next time you would have none. You would have absolutely none. Friends? Nah, if they wasn't your cousin, they probably wouldn't be your friend. So you actually got lucky.
That would make kids want to rebel more.
I don't think so, because I feel like you can train any kid. And so I feel like if that's all they know. See, it's kind of like this. If this is all you know, this is what you do.
There's only
But
so
when
much
you
sheltering.
mix and mingle, exactly. But when you mix and mingle with other kids and you see how their upbringing is shiesty, then you start trying to see if you could get away with shiesty things. So, that's how I would do it now if I had kids. So you gotta wait lucky, I guess. Any advice today on lessons? Like you got friends who have an 8-year-old child. What would you say would be one piece of advice that you would say to that person as they're raising their child, since of course you don't have any kids?
I would say definitely give her the rundown in the game on what we've been through to make things easier for her, so that she knows what to peep and what to live by. Because I think my friend at this age, we done been through enough, to kind of save her child from going through the same thing.
Yeah, that's true. So as we get ready to almost wrap this up, what would you say, and this is going to be funny, what would you say is the one thing I taught you that you know now is a lie? I came up with this thought because I see that people have that thing on Instagram where they're talking about one thing that they realize is not what they thought it was, which is adulting. So what would you say is one thing that I told you, but now you're like, oh, she lied? Okay, while you ponder on that, I'll tell you the one thing that my mom said to me is that you need to get married so you can get somebody to help you raise those babies. Well, here's the deal. I already had my own money to raise my babies. I already had my own businesses, so I didn't feel like I needed to ever marry a man to help me raise babies. If I'm marrying a man, it's because that man wants me. I'm not marrying you to help me raise babies when they have father. So what was the one thing so I found that could be a lie, because I raised y'all, so with the help, of course, but what I'm saying is I didn't have to be married to do that. The way I was raised is that the only way you could be with the opposite sex is that you would have to be married. Like there was there was not going to be any unwed parent or whatever. So what do you think? Or did I just tell the truth on everything now that you figured it out? Or did I lie about something?
No, it always came back full circle.
Yeah.
That's why it's hard to come up and think about a lie.
Yeah. All right, well, we're almost getting ready to wrap this up. So what's your daily routine that you've learned to practice that maybe you learned from me? What's a daily routine?
I would say definitely having daily affirmations, but me personally, journaling.
Oh, yeah, you do? How many journals do you have?
I only have 2 so far. One that I
cool.
got from a friend during Christmas I'm almost done with, but the days that I do forget to meditate, I always make sure I journal, whether if it's in my notes real quick if I'm out, or writing it down, because it does make a difference and make your conscience clear for the next day, some type of way.
Yeah. Do you like pretty journals like me, or do you just do like a plain one that just says journal, or do you try to get something that sparks your interest, like flowers or daisies or roses, or
both sometimes? Okay. I know in Target they have some really cute journals and stuff, but I don't mind having a normal scrap,
plain one,
like a normal spiral book.
Oh, cool. So spark my interest with something. So from what you know today, what can you teach me this very moment? It's just in one word. I know for me, I could teach you something that my mother told me, and it don't have to be real, it don't have to be important, but this is just something that she told me, and she said just keep on living. So anytime something would pop up and that experience hasn't come to me, she say just keep on living. So I'm gonna impart that onto you, to just keep on living, and all of this stuff will come back full circle and you'll get it. But we have to go through the life cycle to understand it. What's the one thing that you would say?
That's actually a good one.
Because I never understood really what she meant when she said just keep on living. I was just like, that's just what she think. It ain't gonna happen. It ain't gonna be that way. It ain't gonna. And then boom, 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 boom. You realize when you get to a certain age, you're like, oh, dang it. It's interesting. What do you think? You don't have anything? Well,
I'm having a brain fart right now, actually.
Just think about it. Just keep on living. You'll eventually be able to answer that question.
Yeah.
Well, there you have it. Let this be a guide for a conversation for you, moms. Let this be a guide and a conversation for you, daughters. let this be an opportunity that you'll be able to have the conversation, and not just moms, being able to go to their daughters and talk, but also
And your daughter.
Yeah. So you want to make sure that it'd be great conversation for road trips, because let's say you were going from Houston to Austin. That's like an hour and a half, 2-hour ride. So that would be a good conversation. So we've had a good show, just talking about things that we've learned. Think about just that one thing that you've learned from your mother, but then also, daughters, don't discount it. You also are teaching your mothers things about you. So please make sure you subscribe to our show. Make sure you like the show, because we know we're giving you some good old nuggets here. Make sure you share the show, and make sure you do what?
Make sure you turn your notifications on.
And why do they want to turn those notifications on?
So you can be notified right when we post something, so you won't be left behind. That way you can catch up.
Know when we go live, because we will be going live on some shows, especially like sometimes on Saturdays, or if there's something exciting going on that we want to share with you, we'll go live or something like that. So we want to make sure that we're there to be a support to you, to spark those conversations with moms and daughters.
Yes, and make sure you tell every woman you know about the Mother Daughter Ish show.
All right, bye for now.
Bye.
Start your very own 501c3 tax-exempt fundable organization today. I've got a few questions for you. Have you ever wondered why over 91 U.S. major companies pay zero in taxes? We're talking about major companies such as Amazon, Duke Energy, Eli Lilly, FedEx, Delta Airlines, MGM Resorts, and even Starbucks. Are you ready to start your very own freedom plan and write your own paycheck and create a legacy that outlives you? Do you want to make a big impact in the world and be paid for what makes you wake up excited to do daily? Well, don't hate the players. Just learn the rules to the game and become a master at creating your own legacy. Rule number 1. Start your very own 501c3 tax-exempt fundable organization today. Contact Ms. Dawn when you're ready and learn how to do this, and learn about local, national, and federal grants to support your ideas. Guess what? You'll also receive $500 off of your fee by mentioning this ad. My name is Ms. Dawn. I live in Katy, Texas, and I've been a business development consultant since 1998. Give me a call so I can help you. Join the Mother Daughter Ish podcast on October the 23rd, that's a Saturday, in Costa Mesa, California. We're going to be talking to women just like you about how to start your podcast, how to earn major money with your podcast, and seeking sponsors. We'll show you how to get it set up. We'll talk about everything that it takes to start podcasting. We are looking to meet with women, all ages, all levels, all women. Bring your moms. Moms, bring your daughters. Women in business. Meet us in Costa Mesa, California on Saturday, October the 23rd, and ask any question you've ever had about how to podcast, how to earn a living at it, and how to take that business into 12 other areas to earn you money. Hey, we're looking forward to meeting you. Come out and see us October 23rd in Costa Mesa. Tickets right on Eventbrite. See you soon.